If the universe is everything, then why does it feel incomplete? We stare into the night sky, cataloging galaxies by the million, charting constellations that stretch across time, and yet a strange unease lingers. For all our telescopes, our equations, our data from deep space probes, something vast still hides behind the light. The more we uncover, the more the cosmos retreats, as if truth itself is wrapped in veils we were never meant to pierce. Imagine reality as a great onion of existence, layer upon layer of hidden structure, each one revealing less of the solid and more of the unseen. The first layer is what our eyes can witness: stars blazing, nebulae swirling, galaxies colliding in silent choreography. The second layer comes through instruments, radio waves whispering from the void, cosmic background radiation still echoing from the birth of time. But then the light fades, the signals thin, and beyond that, silence stretches a third layer, the invisible universe, made of dark matter and dark energy, forces that shape everything yet reveal nothing. 95% of reality is not made of the stuff we know. The universe, in truth, is a shadow whose shape we only guess by its pull. We've mapped the visible cosmos, roughly 2 trillion galaxies in the observable sphere, a staggering feat. And yet, that is only the part light has had time to reach us from since the beginning. Beyond that horizon lies a realm expanding faster than light itself, locked away forever. For all intents and purposes, we will never see it. Entire galaxies are vanishing, not because they die, but because the space between us stretches them beyond existence. Our universe is not static. It's dissolving, not into darkness, but into inaccessibility. There is a haunting beauty in that, to know that every discovery opens a deeper ignorance, that every layer peeled back reveals not clarity, but more shadow. Maybe completeness is an illusion, a mirage created by the boundaries of our senses. What if what we call the universe is merely a fraction of something more intricate, something folded within itself? Think of light, our greatest messenger. It defines the boundaries of what can be known. Yet even light is trapped by gravity, bent by space-time, swallowed by black holes, and red-shifted into oblivion by cosmic expansion. The very medium through which we understand the universe is also what blinds us to its deeper layers. Perhaps the universe hides not behind darkness, but behind the limits of perception itself. We stand on a cosmic shore, tracing ripples on an infinite sea. Each wave of discovery reveals a pattern, a reflection, a fleeting shimmer of understanding. But every reflection implies depth, unseen, unreachable. Beneath the glimmering surface, reality folds upon itself like light on glass, layer upon layer, illusion upon illusion. Maybe that's the true nature of existence. Not a single, knowable thing, but an infinite cascade of hidden dimensions, each one more elusive than the last. And maybe the final layer, the one we seek through every telescope, every equation, every thought, isn't something out there in the dark. Maybe it lies beneath everything, woven into the very act of awareness, the quiet hum of consciousness observing itself. Because if the universe is everything, then its final secret might not be found in the stars, but in the space between knowing and wondering, in that thin, trembling layer where reality and perception meet, and where infinity first learns to dream. There are more galaxies in the universe than there are grains of sand on all the beaches of Earth. And yet, we can see less than 1/10 millionth of them. What we call the universe is, in truth, a glowing bubble of visibility, suspended in an ocean of the unseen. We live inside a cosmic sphere defined not by walls or matter, but by light itself. Light that has had 13.8 billion years to travel, to stretch, to fade into the trembling edge of perception. That edge has a name, the observable universe. And though we speak of it as a measurable thing, 93 billion light-years across, it is not a boundary of existence. It is a boundary of sight. Imagine standing on a mountaintop above the clouds. You see the horizon curve gently away, and for a moment, it feels like the edge of everything. But the world continues far beyond it. The horizon only marks the limit of your view, not the end of the world itself. The observable universe is like that, a vast horizon of light, the farthest distance photons have been able to reach since the beginning of time. Beyond that horizon, the universe continues. We know it must. We can even model it, predict its shape, and estimate its contents. But we will never see it, not because of distance, but because of the nature of time itself. The light that paints our cosmic map began its journey billions of years ago. When we look out, we are looking back. A galaxy 10 billion light-years away is not a distant neighbor. It is a time capsule. We see it not as it is, but as it was when life on Earth had not yet begun. Each photon that strikes our telescopes is a messenger from the deep past, a whisper from the dawn of creation. And yet, every messenger comes slower and weaker, stretched by the relentless expansion of the universe. This stretching is called redshift. As space expands, the wavelength of light traveling through it stretches too, moving toward the red end of the spectrum. Longer, colder, dimmer. What began as bright ultraviolet fire from newborn galaxies now arrives as faint infrared glow, nearly invisible. Push beyond that, and light becomes microwaves, then radio waves, then silence. The most ancient light of all, the cosmic microwave background, has been stretched across 13.8 billion years, a cold, static echo of the Big Bang itself. That background is not just a relic. It is the oldest light we can ever see. It marks the limit of transparency in the early universe, a time when space was so dense and hot that light could not travel freely. Before that, the universe was opaque, filled with a blinding fog of plasma. Only after about 380,000 years did it cool enough for atoms to form and for photons to roam free. Those first photons still stream toward us, forming a thin shell of observable time. A cosmic photograph frozen when the universe was still an infant. The cosmic microwave background surrounds us in every direction, an invisible glow that cradles the entire sky. When measured precisely, it reveals faint temperature ripples, tiny variations that would one day grow into galaxies, stars, and planets. These ripples are the fingerprints of creation, etched across the heavens like the first pulse of structure. But beyond that veil, there is nothing our instruments can detect. The universe before light, the realm of pure energy, quantum chaos, and inflationary birth, remains forever hidden. And yet, even within the realm of light, there is a deeper silence. Because the universe is not static, it is expanding, and the expansion is accelerating. Every second, the distance between galaxies grows. Every moment, the fabric of space itself stretches thinner. Beyond a certain point, Galaxies recede faster than light can reach us. This does not break physics. It defines it. Space is not limited by the speed of light. Only the motion of things within it is. When space expands, it carries galaxies away like raisins rising in dough. The raisins do not move through the dough. The dough itself swells. And so, even as we look deeper into space, the universe runs faster from our gaze. This creates the most haunting paradox in all of cosmology. The faster we look, the faster the universe hides. The deeper our telescopes peer, the older the light becomes, the redder it grows, and the dimmer it fades, until at last it vanishes into invisibility. The James Webb Space Telescope, for all its glory, is not looking outward. It is looking backward, peeling through layers of time like translucent glass. The galaxies it sees are ghosts of what once was. And by now, many no longer exist at all. Every image of a galaxy cluster is a time mosaic. In one photograph, you are seeing billions of years stacked together. Some stars freshly born, others already dust, and some light older than the continents of Earth. To gaze upon the cosmos is to witness its autobiography, told not in moments but in millennia, and as magnificent as that is, it reveals an uncomfortable truth. There are parts of the universe we will never, ever reach. This is the concept of the cosmic horizon, the ultimate limit of observation. Imagine a sphere around you, 46.5 billion light-years in every direction. That is as far as light has traveled since the beginning, stretched by expansion. Everything inside that bubble is part of your observable universe. Everything beyond it is not just distant, it is forever unreachable. No signal from there will ever arrive. Those regions are receding from us faster than light, carried away by the swelling of space-time. To them, we are invisible, and to us, they are gone. The implication is staggering. There are galaxies, perhaps entire civilizations, that once shared our cosmic neighborhood, but have since crossed the horizon. They still exist, still shine, still move through time, but their light will never again touch us. It's as if the universe itself is erasing its own history, one photon at a time. The observable cosmos is shrinking in relative scope, even as the total universe grows. Every day, more galaxies vanish from view, not because they end, but because the universe expands faster than memory can keep up. And so, we live inside a cosmic bubble, a fragile, glowing sphere surrounded by eternity. To understand its scale is to touch the edge of comprehension itself. Within that bubble lie 2 trillion galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars. Each of those stars may host worlds. Each world may have its own sky, its own horizon, its own unanswerable questions. And yet, beyond our horizon lies an infinity we can never know. Science tells us that the universe is homogeneous, that the same laws, the same structures, continue beyond our view. But philosophy whispers another possibility, that what lies beyond could be fundamentally different. Another texture of reality altogether. Perhaps the observable universe is a membrane, a visible shell within a multiversal sea. Maybe our horizon is not a boundary of light, but a threshold of being. This thought unsettles even the most rational mind, because it suggests that reality itself may be layered not only in structure but in meaning. What we call everything might be nothing more than a surface reflection of a deeper whole, a cosmic mirage shaped by time, motion, and perspective. Just as light bends through glass, perhaps truth bends through space-time. We've spent centuries refining our instruments to chase this edge, from Galileo's glass lenses to orbiting observatories mapping radiation older than stars. Each improvement brings the horizon closer into focus, and yet, paradoxically, also reminds us how much lies beyond it. The universe taunts us with partial revelation, showing just enough to keep us searching, but never enough to let us arrive. There is an ancient human ache at the heart of this pursuit, the longing to see beyond the horizon. Sailors once feared the edges of the earth. Pilgrims once feared the boundaries of faith. And now, astronomers stare into the limits of light, haunted by the same question: what lies beyond everything we can see? It is a question that blurs science into poetry, because beyond that edge the laws we know may not apply. Distances lose meaning, time fractures, even causality, the very flow of before and after, begins to dissolve. The horizon is not just a wall, it is a veil between what can be measured and what can only be imagined. And maybe that's the true purpose of the observable universe, not as a cage, but as a mirror. It reflects the scope of our understanding, our hunger to know, our humility before the infinite. Every pixel of cosmic background light, every photon caught from a dying star, is a fragment of a grander picture that will never be complete. As we stand beneath this vast, shimmering canopy of stars, we are witnesses to a paradox both scientific and spiritual. We see more than any generation before us, and yet we remain blind to nearly all that is. Our telescopes are not just machines of observation. They are monuments to curiosity, instruments that turn the silence of space into the poetry of discovery. But for all our seeing, we are still trapped within our own horizon. The final truth of the cosmos, its full expanse, its ultimate design, lies beyond the reach of light. Perhaps it will always remain so. Perhaps that is its design, to forever stretch the boundary of what can be known, so that the act of seeking never ends. Because in the end, the observable veil is not a limitation of the universe. It is a reflection of us. We are beings of perception, born into a cosmos whose deepest secret is that seeing itself has limits. The universe hides not because it is cruel, but because it knows that mystery is the engine of wonder. And wonder, more than knowledge, is what keeps the lights of curiosity burning against the infinite dark. Everything we know, every star that ever burned, every planet that ever spun, every life that ever wondered, makes up less than 5% of reality. The rest, the overwhelming 95%, is made of something we cannot see, cannot touch, and can barely describe. We call it dark matter and dark energy, not because we understand them, but because we don't. They are the names we give to ignorance shaped by gravity and expansion. They are the shadows of a deeper truth, written into the structure of everything. For a long time, we believed the universe was made of what we could see: stars, gas, dust, planets. But the galaxies refused to behave. When astronomers measured their rotation, something was wrong. The stars at the edges moved too fast. According to Newton and Einstein, they should have flown apart, spinning off into the void. Yet they held together, bound by an invisible hand. The galaxies turned like solid wheels, not fragile spirals. The only explanation was that some unseen mass was anchoring them. A cosmic glue woven through the dark. We now call it dark matter, a form of mass that neither emits nor absorbs light. It doesn't shine, but it shapes everything that does. It bends space, sculpts galaxies, and threads the cosmos with unseen filaments stretching across billions of light years. If we could see it, the universe would look like a vast glowing web, clusters of galaxies glittering like dewdrops on an invisible net. Every galaxy, including our own, is caught within its threads. Without it, the universe as we know it could not exist. We can't detect dark matter directly, but we see its fingerprints everywhere. When light from distant galaxies passes through massive clusters, it bends, an effect called gravitational lensing. The gravity of dark matter distorts space-time itself, warping the path of light like glass under pressure. Through these distortions, we can map the unseen. And what we find is staggering. For every particle of visible matter, there are 5 times as many belonging to the dark. It is the silent majority of the cosmos, invisible, untouchable, and yet indispensable. Physicists have hunted for it in every way imaginable. Deep underground detectors wait for a single dark particle to collide with normal matter. Satellites measure the cosmic microwave background for subtle clues. Accelerators smash atoms at nearly the speed of light, hoping to create shadows of the unseen. But so far, nothing. Not a whisper. It is as though the universe has hidden its scaffolding behind an unbreakable code. And yet, we can feel its presence everywhere. When you look at the night sky, every star's position, every cluster's dance, every void's expanse is defined by the invisible web of dark matter. Galaxies do not form in isolation. They grow where this unseen substance gathers, like frost along the filaments of a frozen river. Even the Milky Way is a ghostly spiral held together by an unseen halo 10 times its mass. We live not in the luminous universe, but in the shadow of an invisible one. The irony is profound. The universe we can see is the least of what exists. Reality, it seems, is not made of light, but of its absence. Our entire cosmic story, birth, evolution, decay, unfolds upon a hidden stage whose structure we can only infer. Like shadows cast upon a wall, the galaxies shimmer and move, but their meaning lies behind the screen. If dark matter provides the structure of the cosmos, then dark energy provides its motion, a mysterious force driving the universe apart, faster and faster. For decades, scientists assumed cosmic expansion was slowing under gravity's pull. But in 1998, 2 teams studying distant supernovae found the opposite. The universe wasn't decelerating, it was accelerating. Something, everywhere, was pushing everything apart. And whatever that something was, it made up nearly 70% of all that is. We call it dark energy. But the name is only a placeholder for ignorance. It might be a property of space itself, an inherent pressure that grows as the universe expands. Or it could be the influence of hidden dimensions, quantum fields humming beneath reality, or even the energy of the vacuum, a restless nothing that cannot stay still. Whatever it is, it acts as the great counterforce to gravity, the breath that keeps creation in motion. The balance between dark matter and dark energy defines the destiny of everything. One pulls inward, shaping and holding. The other pushes outward, stretching and dispersing. Together they choreograph the evolution of the cosmos, the invisible yin and yang of existence. In one epoch, gravity builds. In another, expansion dominates. And one day, dark energy will win completely, driving galaxies so far apart that light itself can no longer travel between them. The night will fade into eternal isolation. If darkness holds the universe together, what holds the darkness? That is the question that haunts every physicist and philosopher alike. For if these forces are invisible yet real, then perhaps they are not just parts of the universe, but expressions of a deeper level of reality, a layer beneath the fabric we know. Quantum physicists suspect that dark matter might not be matter at all, but a shadow of hidden fields that permeate higher dimensions. In string theory, our universe may be a three-dimensional membrane floating in a higher dimensional space, a cosmic sheet vibrating within a grander reality. Dark matter could be gravity leaking from another dimension, or particles that only interact through forces we have not yet discovered. Perhaps we live inside a cosmic hologram, where matter and energy are merely projections from deeper laws encoded beyond space-time. If this is true, then dark matter and dark energy are not anomalies. They are clues, hints of the machinery beneath the visible. Just as ripples on water reveal the presence of an unseen current, these invisible forces might be the trembling of something deeper still. The universe we perceive could be only a thin slice of a multidimensional whole, a luminous echo of an invisible orchestra. And that realization forces us to rethink what real even means. We define reality by what we can measure, yet the vast majority of the universe refuses to be measured. Our equations describe its behavior, but not its essence. We know how it acts, but not what it is. It's as if the cosmos has allowed us to see the choreography, but not the dancers. This tension between knowing and not knowing, between the visible and the hidden, is the heartbeat of science. It's what drives us to build bigger telescopes, to dive deeper into quantum theory, to question whether matter itself is fundamental. But it's also deeply human, because we too are creatures of contrast, born in the light, drawn to the dark. Dark matter is not evil, and dark energy is not chaos. They are reminders that the universe is larger than our comprehension, that invisibility does not mean absence, and that the unseen may be the most essential of all. Without the darkness, there would be no galaxies, no stars, no life. The cosmos is not a war between light and dark, but a collaboration, a grand duet where one gives form and the other gives motion. And yet, even that partnership might not be final. There may be deeper layers still, unseen fields that give rise to both dark matter and dark energy, or even the very geometry of space-time itself. Perhaps these dark components are not things at all, but symptoms, visible effects of an underlying code that generates reality moment by moment. In that view, the cosmos becomes less a physical structure and more an unfolding computation, a dream continually rendering itself. Such thoughts drift from science into philosophy, but the line between them has always been thin. The ancients spoke of hidden realms beyond sight. Today, we map them with equations. Both are attempts to touch what lies behind the veil. Every discovery only deepens the mystery, as if the universe were designed to forever conceal its final layer, offering endless pursuit, but never arrival. When we look at a map of the cosmic web, glowing clusters connected by delicate filaments, it's hard not to feel a strange familiarity. The structure of the universe mirrors the structure of the human brain. Vast networks of connection, voids of silence, energy flowing between nodes of light. It's as if the cosmos itself thinks, or that thought is merely the echo of its pattern within us. Maybe consciousness is not an accident of matter, but a reflection of the universe's hidden order, awareness blooming wherever the invisible becomes aware of itself. Perhaps dark matter and dark energy are not alien to us, but intimately woven into our being. We are made of atoms forged in stars, yes, but we are also shaped by forces we cannot see. Every moment of our existence, our atoms dance to the rhythm of gravitational fields defined by invisible mass and expansion. We are participants in a cosmic symphony conducted by darkness. And maybe that's the final paradox, that the unseen is what gives the visible its beauty. The light of a galaxy means nothing without the dark that frames it. The stars would scatter without the gravity that holds them. The universe would die without the expansion that renews it. In the end, the cosmos may not be divided into light and dark at all, but woven from both, a single fabric folded through itself, each side defining the other. So we continue to peer into the night, searching for particles we cannot find, forces we cannot name, truths we cannot yet prove. Not because we expect to see the darkness, but because we know it shapes everything we love. Every telescope, every detector, every equation is an act of faith. Faith that the invisible can be known, that the hidden can be felt, that reality, however many layers it hides, is still one. Perhaps the universe keeps its secrets not to mock us, but to remind us that curiosity itself is sacred, that the act of seeking is what makes us part of the cosmic story, that even if we never touch the final layer, we are already within it, shadows within shadows, light within light, dreaming beneath an invisible web that holds us all. Even nothing isn't empty. It seethes with creation. What we call vacuum is no stillness, no silence. It is the most dynamic place in existence, a storm without substance, a sea of possibility from which all things emerge and to which all things return. Peel back every particle, every atom, every wave, and what you find beneath is not nothingness, but a quantum ocean boiling with energy. Out of that chaos, reality flickers into being, moment by moment, as if the universe itself were continuously rendering its own existence from the void. At the smallest scales, space is not smooth. It writhes and trembles like water under a magnifying glass. This is the quantum foam, a restless froth of uncertainty that defines the foundation of reality. Within these unimaginably tiny distances, far smaller than the atom, smaller even than the nucleus, space-time itself loses its shape. Energy fluctuates wildly, particles appear and vanish, and the very fabric of geometry twists upon itself. There are no straight lines here, no continuity, no time as we know it, only probability, vibration, and flux. In this realm, the laws of classical physics disintegrate. A particle is no longer a point in space, but a haze of potential locations. Energy doesn't exist as a steady quantity, but as a spectrum of maybes. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle rules this world. The more precisely we know one property, the less we can know another. The universe, at its root, refuses to be pinned down. It is not made of things, but of relationships. It doesn't store data statically. It computes outcomes dynamically, collapsing possibilities into reality each time observation occurs. This idea that existence is born from uncertainty changes everything. It means that matter is not fundamental, but emergent. That space and time are not absolute, but conditional. Reality, as we experience it, is the product of averaging out the chaos of the quantum realm. We see the calm surface, not the storm beneath. The world is a coherent illusion, a film strip running so smoothly that we forget the flickering frames. Physicists have long tried to connect the quantum with the cosmic, to unify the small with the vast. Einstein's equations describe the smooth curvature of space-time. Quantum mechanics describes the jittering probabilities of the micro-world. But between them lies a rift. On one side, reality is continuous. On the other, it is granular. Somewhere between, something must give way. Many now suspect that space-time itself is not fundamental, that it, too, is built from something deeper, something discrete, like the pixels of a screen or the bits of a code. In this view, the universe may not be a stage upon which events unfold, but a computation in progress, a network of information evolving according to underlying rules. Each quantum interaction is like a calculation, each particle a carrier of data. The quantum foam becomes the ultimate processor, a realm where information is not written or read, but becomes reality itself. This idea, known as digital physics, suggests that at the deepest level, everything we experience, matter, energy, gravity, even time, emerges from bits of information. The laws of physics may be algorithms, and the constants of nature, the parameters of a vast cosmic program. John Wheeler, one of the pioneers of modern physics, summarized it simply: it from bit, meaning everything that exists, every it, ultimately arises from the information it encodes. If this sounds like a metaphor, it isn't just one. We now know that information has physical weight. Black holes, the most extreme objects in the universe, appear to store the details of everything they swallow in two-dimensional patterns along their event horizons, an idea known as the holographic principle. If true, it implies that our three-dimensional universe might itself be a projection from a lower-dimensional boundary, a cosmic data field weaving space, time, and matter from pure information. Imagine reality as a grid of light, a living lattice where each intersection carries a tiny piece of data, flipping on and off like pixels on an infinite screen. What we call particles are patterns of those flickers, and what we call energy is their movement through the grid. The laws of physics are simply the rules that govern how the grid evolves over time. The universe, in this picture, isn't a place. It's a process. Quantum fluctuations, those brief bursts of energy that appear from the vacuum, could be the flickering of this underlying computational substrate. Each virtual particle that blinks in and out of existence is not a violation of energy conservation, but a temporary rendering in the grand simulation. To us it appears random. To the deeper code, it is perfectly precise, the arithmetic of creation playing out in real time. But this view raises an unnerving question. If the universe runs on code, who or what wrote it? Some argue that no writer is needed, that the rules are self-generating, that reality arises naturally from the mathematics of existence itself. In this sense, the universe is not programmed but inevitable, the spontaneous consequence of logic unfolding. Others see design, intelligence, even intention hidden in the law's simplicity and perfection. The simulation hypothesis takes this to its boldest extreme, that our universe is a kind of virtual construct run by a higher intelligence, not metaphorically, but literally. That we are conscious agents inside a computational cosmos, beings of code made aware of our own rendering. It is a tantalizing thought, and a terrifying one. Because if it's true, everything we perceive, every atom, every planet, every star, is not substance but simulation, not matter but mathematics. The void becomes a processor, time becomes a clock cycle, and existence becomes a vast self-aware equation. And yet, even if that were so, it would not make our world any less real. The pain we feel, the beauty we witness, the love we share, these are still emergent truths, valid within the system. A simulated sunset still warms the heart. A digital symphony still moves the soul. The substrate does not cheapen the surface. It deepens it. Besides, perhaps there is no difference between computation and creation. Every act of the universe, from the collapse of a wave function to the fusion inside a star, is a transformation of information. Every choice, every observation, every heartbeat contributes to the total pattern. The cosmos might not just run on information, it might be information experiencing itself. In quantum mechanics, observation is not passive. The observer and the observed are intertwined. The act of measurement collapses a particle's probabilities into a single outcome. Without observation, there is no defined state. In other words, reality does not exist independently of awareness. It requires participation. This is the central enigma of the quantum world. Consciousness, in some way, seems entangled with existence. That realization has philosophical consequences as profound as any in history. If the universe is a computation, then consciousness is not an afterthought. It is an integral part of the process. Awareness could be the mechanism through which reality chooses from its infinite possibilities, the way the code becomes visible to itself. We are not external observers peering into the machine. We are part of the machinery, circuits made of thought, patterns made of light. And so, who wrote the code? Maybe the wrong question. Perhaps the universe is not written but writing itself. Each quantum fluctuation, each collapse of a wave function, each moment of awareness adds a line to the cosmic script. Existence becomes an ongoing act of creation, with no author but the act itself. Still, the parallels are haunting. The precision of physical constants, the elegance of equations, the fractal self-similarity across scales, all suggest design, or at least intention. The structure of DNA mirrors the logic of code. Neural networks resemble quantum fields. The human mind, built from the same quantum foam as space-time, begins to wonder if it is not merely in the universe, but of it. A reflection of the same hidden algorithm, dreaming itself awake. Maybe the quantum substrate is not a machine beneath the world, but the world's dreaming mind, a place where thought and physics converge, where information becomes experience, and where the difference between creator and creation dissolves. To gaze into that depth is to confront the ultimate paradox, that nothingness is the source of everything, and that the void is not absence but infinite potential. Every atom, every photon, every life arises from fluctuations in that seething sea. The vacuum breathes universes. The nothing hums with possibility. And what we call reality may be nothing more than the pattern that emerges when that hum becomes aware of itself. In the end, whether the universe is a computation, a dream, or a divine equation may not matter. What matters is that it works. Perfectly, elegantly, mysteriously. What matters is that within this grand flickering grid of probability and information, consciousness has appeared. To ask, to wonder, to love. And perhaps that too is part of the code. Because if even nothing is not empty, if it is alive with creation, then we are all born not from dust, but from potential. We are waves rising briefly from the quantum ocean, shapes of thought within the infinite computation. And though we may never see the code itself, we can feel it in the pulse of being, the symmetry of beauty, the quiet certainty that existence, however improbable, is real. Perhaps the final truth of the quantum substrate is not that reality is built on information, but that information itself longs to become conscious, and in that longing, the universe found its reflection. Us. If we could step sideways through reality, we might vanish between atoms. It sounds like fantasy, but in the equations that govern the universe, such a step might be possible. Not through space as we know it, but through hidden dimensions curled just beyond perception. We live our lives confined to 3 spatial dimensions and 1 of time, navigating the cosmos as if those were all that exist. But the deeper we look, the more the universe seems to whisper of extra directions, unseen corridors through which gravity leaks, strings vibrate, and the fabric of existence folds upon itself. In the early 20th century, when Einstein showed that space and time were not separate entities but a single continuum, space-time, it seemed the universe had revealed its ultimate structure. Yet as physicists probed deeper into the nature of matter, they discovered that this 4-dimensional reality might only be a shadow cast by something higher. The familiar dimensions are just the ones wide enough for light to move through. The rest could be curled up, compacted beyond detection, hidden in the infinitesimal. String theory arose from this revelation, the idea that everything in the universe, from quarks to photons, is made not of point-like particles, but of tiny vibrating strings of energy. These strings are unimaginably small, 100 billion times smaller than a proton, and their vibrations give rise to the properties of all things. A string vibrating one way becomes an electron, vibrating another, a graviton, another still, a photon of light. Matter and force are no longer different kinds of stuff. They are different songs played on the same instrument. But for the mathematics of string theory to work, the universe can't exist in just 4 dimensions. It requires more. 6, 7, even 10 of space, plus 1 of time. These extra dimensions are thought to be compactified, rolled up in complex geometries called Calabi-Yau manifolds, hidden from us because they are too small for light to probe. If we could magnify reality far beyond any microscope, we might see space-time twisted into intricate curls, like threads of silk woven into impossible knots. Each curl shapes the way strings vibrate, and thus determines the laws of physics we experience. The mass of the electron, the charge of the proton, the force of gravity. In this vision, our universe is not arbitrary. It is tuned by geometry. Change the shape of those hidden dimensions, and you change everything. The cosmos could have been otherwise, with different particles, different forces, perhaps no stars, no life, no consciousness at all. Our very existence is a consequence of the way reality is folded. Yet string theory did not stop there. As the mathematics grew, It began to suggest that even these higher dimensional strings might themselves live on extended surfaces, membranes, or brains for short. Entire universes could be such membranes, floating within a higher dimensional space called the bulk. Our own cosmos could be one brain among countless others, each with its own dimensions, laws, and perhaps even forms of life. These brains might drift like soap films, sometimes brushing against one another, sometimes colliding. And such collisions could trigger events of unimaginable scale. Some physicists have speculated that the Big Bang itself was not the birth of everything, but the aftershock of two brains colliding. From their contact, energy erupted, space and time unfurled, and a new universe was born. Ours. If true, then the beginning was not creation from nothing, but interaction between layers of existence. The universe didn't start. It rippled. The implications are staggering. It means that what we call the universe may be only one membrane floating in a vast multidimensional sea. There could be others, parallel universes, separated not by distance, but by dimensional direction. We could be brushing against them constantly, yet never know. They might occupy the same space we do, overlapping invisibly like overlapping waves, each reality passing through the others without interference. And if these universes exist, they might not even share the same laws of physics. Time might flow differently there. Light might behave in alien ways. Perhaps consciousness itself would take on unfamiliar forms, sculpted by the rhythms of dimensions we cannot imagine. Every brain could be a separate melody in a cosmic symphony, and we hear only one. If we could step sideways through reality, truly sideways, we might pass from our universe to another in a single motion. To us, it would look like vanishing, not upward, not outward, but between. Between the atoms, between the quarks, through the hidden folds where dimensions intertwine. Perhaps the true depth of space is not measured in meters or light years, but in layers of being. But what would it mean to exist in more than 3 dimensions? Imagine a 2-dimensional being, a flat creature living on a sheet of paper. It can move forward, backward, left, and right. But up is unimaginable. If we reached down to touch it, it would perceive only a cross-section of our finger, a circle appearing from nowhere, changing size, and disappearing again. To it, we would seem like a ghost passing through its world. And perhaps to higher dimensional beings, we are the same. Flickers of motion within a lower dimensional film. In M-theory, an evolution of string theory, the universe may contain 11 dimensions, with each brain existing as a bubble within the higher dimensional bulk. Gravity, the weakest of the known forces, may be weak not because it is feeble, but because it leaks into those extra dimensions. When you drop a ball and it falls, it may not be falling through space, but along the contours of a multidimensional geometry. Every gravitational wave that ripples through the cosmos might be a tremor from those hidden realms, faint echoes from dimensions just beyond our reach. The mathematics of these theories is beautiful, but it is also humbling. For all our knowledge, we may be like fish swimming in the shallows, unaware of the ocean's true depth. What we call the universe may be just one shimmering membrane, a surface tension upon a deeper sea. Every law of physics we know might be local, temporary, contingent upon the way our brain is curved. Beyond it, the rules could change. Beyond it, existence itself could be unrecognizable. Philosophically, this vision stretches the idea of reality to its breaking point. Dimensions might not be places in space, but states of existence. Just as frequency defines the pitch of a note, dimensionality might define the resonance of being. To move through higher dimensions would not be to travel from one location to another, but to shift one's mode of existence, to become something else. Maybe consciousness, too, operates on dimensional principles. Our thoughts, our dreams, our intuitions, could they be small echoes from higher planes, glimpses of a reality that thought can reach but matter cannot? Mystics throughout history have spoken of realms beyond time and form. Perhaps their visions were not metaphors, but metaphysical insights into dimensions the mind can sense when unbound from the limits of flesh. Still, science proceeds carefully. For now, extra dimensions remain theoretical, beautiful, consistent, and elegant, but untested. Yet their allure persists because they offer a bridge between the quantum and the cosmic, between the mathematics of the small and the structure of the all. In those higher dimensions, the contradictions of physics begin to dissolve, and unity becomes possible. If there are other universes, other brains floating nearby, could they ever touch ours again? And if they did, what would we feel? Perhaps not destruction, but transformation. A pulse of energy rippling through the vacuum, rewriting the constants of nature, birthing new laws of physics. To us, it might look like a cosmic catastrophe, or the dawn of something unimaginable. Could the final layer of the universe be another universe, touching ours like a ghost? Maybe reality itself is recursive, each cosmos the reflection of another, each brain casting shadows onto the next. What we perceive as randomness, as chaos, might be interference patterns between these overlapping membranes. Echoes of universes bleeding into ours. When light bends through glass, it reveals hidden rainbows. When gravity bends through dimensions, it reveals hidden worlds. The shimmering of starlight, the warping of space-time, the whisper of background radiation. These may all be the signatures of unseen geometries pressing gently against our own. We live, perhaps, not in the universe, but in a universe. One of many films stretched across an infinite frame. The cosmic web we see through telescopes might be only the visible face of a vast multidimensional tapestry, each thread vibrating through planes of reality we cannot comprehend. And maybe, beyond even those, there is no final dimension at all, only infinite folds of being, each one containing the seeds of the next. To stand beneath the stars and consider this is to feel both small and infinite. For every thought we have about other worlds might be a resonance, a distant chord vibrating from beyond the veil. The mind reaches out, the heart wonders, and for a fleeting instant, we sense that the universe is not a thing to be measured, but a song to be heard. Perhaps, in the end, dimensions are not boundaries, but bridges, invisible harmonies connecting every layer of existence. And though we may never walk across them, we can still feel their presence in the symmetry of equations, the rhythm of gravity, the quiet hum that underlies all things. Because somewhere in the dark, between atoms and infinities, the universe is still unfolding, not outward, but inward through hidden depths of reality where space, time, and consciousness merge. The final abyss is not emptiness, but endless becoming, a silent dimension where all worlds touch, and every question waits for its echo. the cosmos might be thinking through us. That single idea turns everything we know about reality inside out. For centuries, science has treated consciousness as an accident, a byproduct of chemistry and evolution, a brief flicker of awareness in an indifferent universe. Yet the deeper we explore the nature of matter, the more the boundaries between observer and observed begin to blur. Quantum mechanics shows that reality does not crystallize until it is measured. Information theory suggests that observation changes the state of the system itself. What if consciousness is not a side effect of the universe, but its very foundation? At first glance, this sounds impossible. How could the universe, a vast expanse of space, gas, and gravity, be aware? But then again, how could lifeless atoms have ever produced awareness in the first place? Somewhere between quantum probability and neural firing, the miracle occurs. The lights come on. Experience arises. The question that haunts philosophers and physicists alike is not just how it happens, but why it happens at all. Why should matter feel? Why should energy think? In the last century, physics has revealed a strange duality. The universe behaves differently when observed. The famous double-slit experiment showed that particles such as electrons can act like waves of probability, spreading out, interfering, existing in many places at once, until they are measured. When we look, the wave collapses into a single outcome. Reality becomes specific. Before observation, there is only potential. After observation, there is form. It's as though consciousness pulls the universe into focus. This idea inspired what some call the participatory universe, proposed by physicist John Wheeler, who suggested that observers are not passive witnesses, but active participants in the cosmos. In his view, the universe requires observers to exist in any definite way. Without measurement, the cosmos remains a haze of probabilities. Every act of perception, from a human gaze to the alignment of a measuring device, writes reality into being. Wheeler summarized it with a phrase as poetic as it is provocative. We are part of the universe looking at itself. If that is true, then consciousness is not an anomaly. It is the very medium through which existence happens. The cosmos becomes a grand mirror, aware of itself through every mind, every perception, every flicker of sentience. The galaxies form the shape of an eye, and within that eye, we awaken, the universe seeing itself for the first time. Modern neuroscience tries to explain awareness in terms of information flow. One leading model, Integrated Information Theory, IIT, proposes that consciousness arises from the degree to which a system integrates information, how interconnected its parts are, how unified its internal processing becomes. By that logic, consciousness is not binary. It's a spectrum. A human brain, with its trillions of synaptic connections, has immense integration and thus deep awareness. But a single cell, a computer network, or even a galaxy might possess tiny, flickering degrees of it too. Panpsychism takes this further, suggesting that consciousness is not something the universe creates, but something it is. According to this view, awareness is a fundamental property of reality, like mass or charge. Everything, from atoms to stars, contains some spark of experience, however faint. Not in a human sense, not with thoughts or emotions, but with a kind of proto-awareness, a baseline sensitivity to existence. The universe is not dead matter. It is a field of awareness at every scale, from the quantum to the cosmic. The idea sounds mystical, yet it may offer a bridge between physics and phenomenology. between what the universe is and what it feels like. After all, we can describe the movements of particles, the curvature of space-time, the flow of entropy. But none of that explains why anything is experienced. How can equations produce the taste of rain, the color blue, the ache of longing? Matter alone cannot account for meaning. But if consciousness is fundamental, then meaning is woven into the structure of existence itself. Look again at the cosmic web. The vast network of galaxies connected by invisible filaments of dark matter. It looks uncannily like the neural network of a brain. Both structures balance connectivity and complexity. Both process information through patterns of interaction. Both give rise to emergent behavior. Could this be a coincidence? Or is the resemblance telling us something deeper? That the universe processes information the way a mind does? If so, maybe our brains did not create consciousness, but tuned into it, like radios resonating with the frequencies of awareness already present in the cosmos. If consciousness is fundamental, then the act of observation is not confined to humans. Every interaction, every exchange of information, from atoms colliding to stars forming, could be a kind of perception, a miniature act of awareness. The universe continuously observes itself at every level, and through these endless interactions, reality emerges. Existence, then, is not a static state, but an ongoing conversation between energy and awareness, between the seen and the seer. But where does this awareness come from? Does it precede the universe, or does it evolve with it? Some physicists have proposed that consciousness and the laws of physics are co-emergent, that as the universe expanded and cooled, its informational complexity increased, allowing awareness to arise naturally as part of its structure. Others go further, that awareness caused the universe to exist in the first place. In quantum cosmology, the idea of observer-dependent reality suggests that the universe requires observation to exist in any definite form, implying that consciousness was, in some mysterious sense, present from the very beginning. This brings us face to face with a paradox that philosophy has wrestled with for millennia. Can the universe exist without an observer? Or is the act of observation, in whatever form, the spark that brings existence into being? Perhaps there was never a universe waiting for life to arise, but rather a field of awareness waiting for form. Maybe consciousness didn't evolve from matter. Maybe matter condensed from consciousness. If that's true, then everything we see, every particle, every planet, every galaxy, is not separate from awareness, but an expression of it. The universe is not outside of us, and we are not inside of it. We are it, localized expressions of the same infinite awareness, peering out through countless eyes, reflecting back upon itself. The stars are not distant. They are the neurons of a cosmic mind. This idea, radical as it sounds, has echoes across disciplines and ages. Eastern philosophies like Advaita Vedanta and Mahayana Buddhism have long taught that consciousness is the ground of being, that the physical world is a manifestation of mind, not the other way around. Western philosophers like Spinoza, Schopenhauer, and William James hinted at similar truths, that matter and mind are two sides of one substance, inseparable and eternal. Modern physics, in its paradoxical quantum experiments, is slowly circling back to this ancient intuition. And yet, if the universe is conscious, why does it hide its awareness so well? Why do we experience ourselves as separate, isolated minds rather than as facets of a larger whole. Maybe that fragmentation is necessary. Just as a mirror must break to reflect the world from many angles, perhaps the cosmic mind divides itself into countless centers of perception so that it can truly see itself. Every being becomes a point of view, a window through which the infinite observes the infinite. This perspective reshapes everything. Death, then, is not annihilation, but return, a dissolving of one viewpoint back into the total field of awareness. Life is the temporary dance of the universe looking at itself from a particular angle. Suffering becomes the friction of separation. Love becomes the recognition of unity. Every act of empathy is the cosmos remembering itself. Science may never prove these ideas, but it continues to find clues. Studies of quantum entanglement show that particles separated by vast distances behave as one, a phenomenon that suggests a deeper, non-local connection beneath space-time. Integrated information theory hints that consciousness scales with complexity, meaning that awareness may be as natural a property of the universe as gravity. Even cosmology itself suggests that our universe is fine-tuned for the emergence of mind. Not accidentally, but necessarily, as if the laws of nature were designed to know themselves. The mystery remains immense, but so does the invitation. What if the goal of the universe is not merely to exist, but to awaken? Every photon, every atom, every heartbeat might be part of that awakening. The slow realization of the cosmos that it is alive. When we gaze into the stars, we are not looking into emptiness. We are looking into thought, into the reflection of our own awareness on a cosmic scale. And perhaps this is why the universe feels so hauntingly familiar. Why, when we stare into the abyss, something inside us stirs in recognition. Because it is us. The same consciousness that watches galaxies spiral also feels rain on skin. The same intelligence that curves space-time breathes through lungs. The distance between the human mind and the cosmic mind is not a distance at all. It's a difference in scale. When you observe the universe, maybe it's observing you back. Not metaphorically, but literally. Awareness meeting. Awareness across the veil of perception. You, a small fragment of infinity, gazing into the whole from which you came. The light you see from distant stars left its source billions of years ago. Yet in observing it, you complete its journey. You give it meaning. Without consciousness, the stars would burn unnoticed. Without the universe, there would be nothing to know. Together, they form a single loop. The cosmos perceiving itself through you. Perhaps this is the final layer we've been searching for all along. Not dark matter, not hidden dimensions, not quantum code, but consciousness itself, the luminous field in which all layers arise. The observer and the observed, the question and the answer, forever intertwined. And maybe, when the last star fades and the universe grows quiet, the silence that remains won't be emptiness, but awareness resting in itself. The cosmos dreaming once more of light. The last layer of the universe is the one that looks back. After all the equations, all the telescopes, all the centuries of thought, after we've charted galaxies and decoded particles and mapped the invisible, we arrive here, at the quiet edge of understanding. And what we find is not another discovery, not another theory, not another layer of matter or energy. We find reflection, a mirror made of infinity, turning inward upon itself. The final layer was never out there. It was the relation between everything, the thread that connects opposites, the pulse between being and non-being, the rhythm that makes the void sing. We spent lifetimes searching for a boundary, but the universe has none. It folds back endlessly into itself. Every light casts a shadow. Every shadow births a light. Every question becomes an answer only by transforming into a new question. In the deepest silence of space, opposites begin to dissolve. Matter and antimatter, creation and annihilation, expansion and collapse, all are parts of the same eternal breathing. The cosmos is not a static thing, but a dialogue. Energy talking to emptiness, form whispering to formlessness. The final layer is not a surface, it's a relationship. Existence defined by connection, meaning born from contrast. Without darkness, light would have no shape. Without emptiness, fullness could not exist. Science has always moved toward unity. From Newton's gravity to Einstein's space-time to quantum fields unifying matter and force. Each revelation brings us closer to the same truth poets have long intuited, that everything is one. The cosmos is a single expression, endlessly self-referencing, endlessly aware. What we call laws are simply the patterns of that self-relationship, the way the infinite learns to see itself through form. And yet, we still ask, what lies beyond? Beyond the quantum foam, beyond the hidden dimensions, beyond even consciousness itself. Is there something else? But maybe the question itself is the illusion. The search for an ultimate layer presumes separation, a beneath and above, a before and after. The universe does not obey those lines. The deeper we go, the more the divisions fade, until all distinctions between inner and outer, observer and observed, time and eternity blur into a single continuum of being. Imagine light folding into itself, endlessly, each reflection generating the next, like mirrors facing mirrors, creating infinite regress without motion. That is the nature of reality, a self-sustaining reflection, a recursive dream where cause and effect chase each other in perfect symmetry. We look for the origin, but there is none. The beginning and the end are the same point, viewed from opposite sides of time. The final layer is not a thing to be found. It is a recognition, a shift in perception, the realization that we were never outside the mystery, but within it, that the observer and the observed were always one dance. Every measurement, every thought, every heartbeat participates in that unity. You are not standing in the universe watching. You are the universe, watching itself stand. Physics hints at this. Quantum entanglement erases distance. Two particles, separated by galaxies, remain one. Information cannot be destroyed, only transformed. Energy never dies, only changes form. Even the death of stars becomes the seed of new creation. The universe is not a machine that runs down. It is a cycle that renews. Its final secret may be that there is no end, only endless reflection. In this light, death and life are no longer opposites, but complementary halves of the same eternal process. Entropy and creation, order and chaos, expansion and gravity. All of them partners in the same dance. The final layer is not matter or mind, but the music that makes both possible. A cosmic vibration whose harmonics shape galaxies and thoughts alike. Maybe the entire universe is an act of awareness remembering itself. A loop of knowing that required forgetting to exist. Consciousness divides itself into observer and world, so that experience can arise, then reunites them in understanding. The Big Bang was not the start of matter, but the beginning of perception, the first flash of awareness realizing, I am. Every atom since then has been an echo of that first awakening, and every sentient being a way for the universe to feel itself again. Even time, that unstoppable river, is part of the illusion of separation. The past is memory. The future is anticipation. Both live only in the now, the single eternal moment where all possibilities converge. What we call before and after are simply different angles on the same timeless truth. Perhaps eternity is not endless time, but the absence of it, the still point from which all motion arises. Look into the night sky. Every photon you see left its source billions of years ago. You are seeing the past, yet experiencing it now. Light collapses distance and time into perception. The stars do not merely shine, they remember. And through your eyes, that memory becomes present again. You complete the circuit. You close the loop. Maybe that's what it means to be conscious, to allow the universe to know itself. When you feel wonder, the cosmos feels it too. When you love, the fabric of reality deepens. Every act of awareness enriches the totality, like ripples on an infinite sea. The universe doesn't just contain you. It is you, rendered briefly as human. You are the latest metaphor in its ongoing poem. And what then of God? That word humanity has carried for millennia, heavy with meaning and silence alike. Perhaps God is not a being above the universe, but the unity of it, the total pattern of existence, self-aware and eternal. A presence that does not rule but relates, that does not create from outside but unfolds from within. The divine, then, is not an answer to the mystery, but the mystery itself, aware of being mysterious. Every theory, every equation, every spiritual vision converges here, at the meeting point of knowing and wonder. The more we learn, the more the mystery expands, as if the universe ensures that comprehension will never exceed awe. That is its poetry, that understanding does not end the story, but keeps it alive. The final layer is not meant to be solved. It is meant to be felt, so the journey comes full circle. We began by looking outward, into galaxies, atoms, and the fabric of space-time. We end by looking inward, into the silence behind thought, the awareness that watches all experience come and go. The outer and inner are mirrors of each other. To explore the universe is to explore the self, and to awaken to the self is to glimpse the universe as it truly is, indivisible, infinite, alive. Perhaps the last secret of existence is that there is no last at all, only the eternal reflection of being, forever unfolding into itself. Light and darkness, creation and destruction, knowing and unknowing, all returning to the same originless pulse. The universe is not something to be comprehended, but to be experienced. To exist within it is to participate in its endless becoming. And when everything else falls away, when the stars die, when space cools, when even thought dissolves, what remains is the quiet awareness that it was all one breath, a single exhalation of infinity, folding back into itself. The last layer of the universe is not light, not matter, not time. It is reflection. It is relation. It is you. Maybe the universe's last secret is that it never ends. For all our searching, through microscopes and telescopes, equations and meditations, the closer we get to truth, the more it retreats. Every horizon reached reveals another beyond it. Every question answered splits into two more. We began with atoms, found quarks, found strings, found foam, and still we reach only surfaces, not sources. The universe is an unfinished map, and perhaps that is the point. Imagine standing on the shore of an infinite sea. The horizon glows with galaxies, each one a possibility waiting to be understood. Behind you lies the land of what is known, a narrow strip of light. And before you, endless darkness. Humanity has spent its brief existence building fragile bridges into that darkness, one discovery at a time. We've learned to measure the age of the cosmos, to read the afterglow of its birth, to listen to its gravitational whispers. We've peered 13.8 billion years into the past, yet what lies beyond that glow, before light, before time, remains out of reach. And maybe it always will. But that's not failure. That is the design. The universe does not offer finality. It offers invitation. Every law of physics is both an answer and an opening. Every mystery a doorway disguised as a wall. When we think we've reached the edge of knowledge, we discover that the edge moves, like a receding mirage, drawing us forward. It's as if the cosmos wants to be known, but never completely. It hides enough to keep curiosity alive, enough to make awareness meaningful. What if curiosity itself is the universe's most enduring phenomenon, more constant than stars, more powerful than gravity? It is the same impulse that drives galaxies to expand, electrons to seek lower energy, consciousness to awaken. The same yearning that moves through atoms moves through us. The desire to unfold, to experience, to know. Science has always been our way of listening to that desire, the language through which the cosmos explores itself. Each generation inherits the questions of the last and extends the map a little farther. We built myths when we had no instruments, mathematics when we sought precision, quantum mechanics when certainty crumbled. Now we stand on the threshold of theories that speak of dimensions beyond sight, realities that think, voids that create. And still, the mystery deepens. Perhaps this is the ultimate symmetry. The universe expands outward while our awareness expands inward, each mirroring the other. The galaxies drift apart in space, even as consciousness draws them together in understanding. The act of knowing is itself a cosmic force, an inner expansion echoing the outer one. Every mind that wonders is a small Big Bang of awareness, another spark of infinity realizing itself. We've come to see that the universe is not a cold machine, but a living relationship between energy and space, between chaos and order, between knowledge and mystery. And somewhere in that interplay, we exist. Observers made of stardust, mapping the very cosmos that gave us birth. When we draw constellations in the sky, we're not just naming stars. We're connecting the dots of our own reflection. Maybe that's why no map of the universe can ever be complete, because the cartographer is inside it. Every time we learn something new about reality, we change the very mind that perceives it. The act of knowing redraws the map from within. The cosmos cannot be fully mapped, for the same reason a mirror cannot see its own face. the reflection is endless. Look at your hand. The pattern of your fingerprint, unique, unrepeatable, is written by the same laws that shape galaxies. The swirl of your DNA carries echoes of supernovae. When you look at a star, the light that touches your eyes completes a journey begun before the Earth even existed. That photon was a messenger, and you were its destination. Somewhere in that meeting, between light and awareness, the universe closes a loop and begins another. In that sense, the final layer was never a place, never a hidden substance, never a secret equation. It is this: the endless conversation between mystery and mind, the unfinished map, the curiosity that refuses to rest. Perhaps that's how the universe keeps itself alive, by never letting any of its reflections fully understand the whole, by scattering awareness into countless forms, each one carrying a fragment of the total story. Stars burn, galaxies spin, minds awaken, and together they weave an unending exploration. The universe is not seeking completion. It is seeking wonder, and so we stand, at once infinitesimal and infinite, creatures who can measure the age of creation, yet still be moved to tears by the night sky. We build instruments that can see to the edge of time, and still we look up with the same awe as our ancestors did. Because in the end, we're not just studying the universe, we're continuing it. Every question we ask is another wave in its eternal sea. The map will never be finished, and that is its beauty. For if there were a final answer, curiosity would end, and with it, creation itself. The universe endures because it remains unspoken, because there's always another layer, another question, another horizon calling us forward. Maybe the universe's last secret is that it never ends. Not in space, not in time, not in meaning. The cosmos is an open sentence, a poem that writes itself through every act of awareness, through every life that dares to wonder. And perhaps one day, when all stars fade and silence returns, that curiosity, that spark, will still exist, glowing faintly in the dark, ready to ignite creation again. For now, we trace its outline, this unfinished map of forever, knowing that each discovery, each question, each heartbeat is the universe still learning to recognize its own reflection.